Hey, what's up, guys? Here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we do here is fire. You guys know the drill. I'm your host, Zach Jackson, here with my guest host and special guest out of my family, my cousin Eric. Appreciate Eric for coming on and joining the podcast today.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
Eric, if you wanted to introduce yourself and let people know that are watching what you kind of do and stuff
Okay.
like that.
All right. Yeah. So my name is Eric Guzman. I live down in Florida. I live down in Lake Worth, Florida, in Palm Beach County, and I'm Zach's older cousin. And I'm a big Panther fan, so I got my Panther hat on today. So I'm hoping we could talk about some of that stuff going on. But I'm a big sports fan, a big Cowboys fan, big Yankee fan. I grew up in New York as a big Yankee fan. And then about 1998, moved down to Florida. And before I moved to Florida, I was a Devils fan in hockey. I actually went to the Devils' first hockey game against the Rangers. It was at the Byrne Arena against the Rangers. But then when I moved down in '98, I had a longing for hockey, and I found the Panthers. And the Panthers it's a great organization, and they really make it easy for the fans to go to watch hockey down here. So it's really cool. Like, you could go to the games, and it's the stadium is in a really close location where people could go watch the games and not too expensive. And it's a pretty cool place to go watch hockey. So I became a Panther fan. So I've been a Panther fan since over 20 years now. So
Damn.
yeah.
Loyalty right there.
Yeah. So I got the original logo on my hat.
I see that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, guys, so now you guys know a little bit about my cousin Eric. But we are going to be going into some segments here today. First up, our first segment we're going to be going over is the NHL. As we know, the playoffs are still going on. The Panthers had a 3-0 series lead against the Oilers, and they cannot get the job done. Edmonton has won 2 straight, going off of last night, winning 5-3. So that's pretty much that. And then our second segment we'll be going over will be the NFL. Me and Eric are both diehard Cowboys fans. Most of our family is divided between Cowboys and Giants fans.
Yeah.
So we always got to stick together. We haven't talked about the Cowboys on the show for a while. So we'll see and go a deep dive into what the Cowboys are doing, which is basically nothing. But we'll just go into that. But first up, Eric, we'll go with your favorite team, with the Florida Panthers. Now, what is your we all know, like, there's some danger of what they're doing. It was 3-0, now it's 3-2 going back to Edmonton. I picked the Panthers and gave the Oilers their respect, but I picked the Panthers in 7. So far my trajectory is going well. I just didn't think it was going to be the Panthers being up 3-0 and then like Edmonton comes back in a historic way to tie at 3-3. But hey, I'm trying to let's see if my bets go good when it comes to Panthers winning in 7.
What I think what happened was, it's hockey. If you hockey is awesome, and when you watch the coaches, right? I think what happened, if I had to put it in, like, try to sum it up, when they were up 3-0, they were pretty much crushing Edmonton, and they kept using their style where they run the defense and they press and they don't let you get on their side at all. And then when they went up to Edmonton, they were so dominant. And I think what happened was, there's a stat that's pretty interesting. No team has ever swept a Stanley Cup in 26 years. And I think that has to do with when they went up to Edmonton, they kind of let the gas off the pedal a little bit. And I think when you do that, you have to be careful because, Edmonton, it's very hard to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, look at the teams that each one of them had to go through, right? They had to go through Dallas. Like, Edmonton had to go through Dallas. A lot of people say the Stanley Cup was really the Rangers and the Panthers. That was an amazing series. And look at how they had to go to war to get to each other. And I think what happened, they let the foot off the gas, and then the coach is a really good coach. And what he does, if you watch, he really mixes up his lines. So a lot of coaches let their 1-2, their third line go out, but he shuffles his line so quick, and he figured out a few combinations that really are killer. So he let he figured out that if you put McDavis out, right, and you put McDavis out and you let him run with some of the other guys that are fast like him, it's hard to stop them. And if you notice, he kept going back to that same line, and that line scored like 5 goals, when they were back at Edmonton, and it just like, and then you see the Panthers were like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? And he found a combination that really could stop that strong defense. And then what happened was when they came back to Florida, he released, what he started doing basically in a nutshell is letting McDavis run free. Yeah. And when you do that, the other guy, it's almost like when you let the greats go, right? Like when you let Jordan go in basketball, and Oilers and historically would do that with Gretzky, they would just let him go, and let's see what happens. They held McDavis back the first 2-3 games. They let him go game 4 in Edmonton because their back's against the wall. They have nothing to lose. So they're like, just let him go. Let him run free. And then look what happened. When they started putting him together with some of the other guys that are really fast and big like him, it started pushing the Panthers back. And then the Panthers were like, holy crap. So, okay, game 3 game 4 gets away from them. They figured they'll come home and they'll be all right. But the coach started doing the same thing. He started, as soon as he got his lines out there, he started putting McDavis out there, and they started scoring again. And then it was like, holy crap, what do we do now? And then if you see in the second period, the coach for the Panthers started putting in like their strong line. Like he put, the old guys, Ekblad, he brought in Rodriguez right away. And then they started, then they, what's the other guy? Tkachuk is his name?
Yeah, Tkachuk.
Tkachuk. They brought him in, and then boom, he scores right away. So then he started figuring out a line that works. And then he started attacking like that, and then they started scoring. And then it came, it was a 3-1, then it was 4-1, then it was 4-2, and then another score 4-3. And then the Panthers started figuring out, hey, wait a minute, these lines starting to work. And I think that's what it comes at when you're at that when you're at this level with the best players, you have to figure out what the combinations are and who's on that day. And then when you get that right, that's usually how you win, And I think that's what happened with the Panthers. They made a big mistake in game 4, letting it get away, and then they gave the Oilers life. Yeah. And you have to be careful. And I saw a stat yesterday. The only time it's ever been done before, coming from a 3-0 deficit in the Stanley Cup, was in 1942. I forget the team. It was Detroit Red Wings, and I can't remember the other team. But the other team came back on the Red Wings being down 3-0. It only happened one other time. So if the Oilers could do this, it'll only be the second time in history. But it could be done. It could be done because in baseball, the Red Sox did it to the Yankees, where no one has ever come back, and the freaking Red Sox beat the Yankees, and they had Mariano Rivera as a closer, and they came back and beat the Yankees. Yeah. So it could happen in sports. Anything can happen, especially with the way the athletes are nowadays. I mean, both teams have such great players. So, what's awesome about hockey too is you have like such a great combination of veterans and young players on the ice. And that's what is great. Like you see like Ekblad with Rodriguez and Barkov with those young guys. And it's like, you got a guy who's been there, 13 years with a guy who's been there 1 year, 2 years. And it's like they play so well together, and the young guys learn from the older guys. They learn all the tricks. I got to tell you, it's a great series. Yesterday's game, like the second period yesterday, was incredible.
It was awesome.
I mean, it was incredible. I mean, that's like hockey at its like, those are some of the best hockey players in the world right there going at it. So it will be interesting to see. I mean, when you got a guy like McDavis out there, I mean, that guy, if you watch him, he's incredible, man. He's so fast. The way he blows through the line, the way he controls the puck, the angles he could shoot from. He's already passed a few of Gretzky's records. Right? He passed one, I think, yesterday. I forget which one it was. I think it was maybe the assist record.
I believe so. It was the assist record.
And Stanley Cup, right? Yeah. So he's like incredible. I think it's going to be tough. I really think going back into Edmonton is going to be tough. I hope the Panthers could pull it out, but it's now it's the Oilers pull out this game Friday, it's anybody's series then. So we'll see.
Going back to Florida.
Yeah, 3-3 going back to Florida, and the coach for Edmonton has figured out something. Like he's like, wait a minute, these lines work if I keep the beast out there, McDavis, and when you got a player like that, it's you have to understand like it was very dangerous. What I think here's the thing, it was very dangerous what the Panthers did that game in Edmonton, and they're paying for it.
Yep. They got killed 8-1.
Yeah, they're paying for it now. Now they're like, holy crap! They let them back in. They were down 3-1. If they would have put the gas on, they could have pinned them down, and it would be over. They could have swept them. I think they could have swept them, but they let it go back, and then the coach said, all right, I'm going to put McDavis out there and just let him run wild, let him do whatever. And he started dominating. Yeah, that was it. And that's where we are now. And hockey is a game also of momentum. So you see how, the second period, I mean, if that second period didn't stop, the Panthers win yesterday because they were kept. Yeah. How many shots on goal did they have at the end of the second period? They were just firing the puck.
Yeah, anything was going to go in, to be honest. So I definitely, Conor McDavid, man, he is one of the best, if not the best NHL player in the game. He's fast. His scoring, like you said, is ridiculous. I like him as a player. He's a very humble dude too. He's not most hockey players are. So it's not really that. Most hockey players are very humble to themselves, do what they have to do, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, but you're right. The Panthers let them come back. And I said it on my podcast. When it was 3-0, I said if the Panthers don't close it out, and it's gonna be tough to close out Edmonton now that they have confidence after that 8-1. Now if they lost a close one, that's one thing, but they lost 8-1. I don't know that many NHL games that the team scored 8 and the other team scored 1. Yeah. So I definitely think the Panthers are on the ropes. But to answer that 1942 Stanley Cup playoffs history, in the Stanley Cup playoffs history, 211 teams as of June 13, 2024 have faced a 3-0 deficit in a best-of-7 series. Only 4 of those teams overcame it, a successful rate of just under 2%, and only one of those did so in the Stanley Cup Finals, which was the Toronto Maple Leafs winning against the Detroit Red Wings.
Yep. So it's Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto Maple Leafs are the only team to ever do it.
That's crazy.
So that's a crazy stat. So, Edmonton have a tall order, but they could do it.
Yeah, they can. They have the team to do it.
They have the team. They're 2 games away.
Best player.
Yeah, they have the best player in the league, and they're 2 games away.
Yeah.
And, and the coach is at the point where, their back was against the wall, and he was like, all right, just let the guy go. Let Jordan go. Let LeBron go. Just let the beast go. And sometimes when you let the beast go, that's what happens. Look what he did. How many goals? He scored quite a few goals on.
He had 2 goals and 2 assists last night.
Yeah, and he's just
4 out of the 5. He had 4 out of the. He was responsible for 4 out of the 5 goals that they had.
Yeah, and you see his one shot from the side. You see that shot he hit.
That was filthy. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you can't. You guys like that is. Those are guys that. I mean, not many people can hit a shot like that at that speed. And the little tiny angle he had, he just put it right in. Yeah. And you're like, you see a shot like that, and you're like, I've like a few other guys like Gretzky and Lemieux could hit. Like when I've been lucky enough to see guys like, like some of the old Rangers and, Messier and those guys. Like those guys can hit shots like that. But it's very rare that and Sidney Crosby was another one that would hit shots like that for the Penguins.
He's still playing.
Yeah, he's older now, but when he was young, that guy was something else, and he could hit shots like that when he was young, and it's like, it's you got to be careful. So Panthers have their work cut out for them. They really do, and I feel bad because I mean, it would be really crappy to lose this way.
No, yeah, exactly. Especially how well you guys have done in the playoffs and who you've beat. You've beaten the Rangers. You've beaten all these teams to get here. And you had the sweep, you had them on the ropes, and then you let them come back, and now we'll see what happens. But if you close it out in Edmonton, then you close it out. But I think if Edmonton wins Game 6, I don't think the Panthers lose at home. There's no way. It will be really to be honest, I will be not happy, but be like, okay, so we then lose to the eventual champions, which means that we suck even more.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, who's better? I think Conor McDavid is the best player in the series, no matter on both teams.
Yeah.
You could say Barkov, you could say Tkachuk, but at the same time, it's like they're not doing what he's doing. They're not down 3-0, clawing back against the Panthers, who have all the.
It's incredible, and and it's not like, the thing is with McDavid is like they press him 3-on-1 and he still goes through.
Yeah.
Like, he's just that good,
He's him.
So, yeah, he is. He's the beast, man. That guy. When he comes back on, I'm like, oh god. As soon as he gets on the ice, I'm like, oh jeez. I'm like, here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
you just watch him and you're like, oh man, he's just so much faster. And
thanks for the follow, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Like, you pray for the best, and I hope they, would be nice because it's it'll be their first Stanley Cup in the franchise history. And they came close last year. Last year they lost to the Vegas, and they only won one game. So I think
they were in all of those games though. There was no blood. Yeah, they had every game. They could have beat Vegas. I told you at my dad's house that when we were watching the fight, I said I was the only one that said that Florida was going to get to the Stanley Cup, because once my Rangers lost, I was like, all right, let's just go Florida. And then I was the only one that looked like they believed that the Bruins were going to tank a 3-1 lead in the first round. That happened. And I said they were going to come right back after they lost the finals. And look what happened. They're out. Now, I said they were going to win it because my Rangers lost. So now let's hope that they win it. I have them winning in Game 7. I think it will be nice. Giving up a 3-0 lead and then closing it out in Game 7 at your house. That's one way to end the fight. I just wanted to go to Game 7. I still want to watch hockey. My NBA's gone because the Mavericks got gentlemen swept. So the NBA's done. So I want to continue watching sports. If not, well, we got the Yankees, but
we got the Yankees.
Something games left. So.
And you got the MMA too. You got the UFC.
Yeah, but the whole Conor McGregor is done, man.
Well, they're saying they're not saying what it is, but I heard that they think it's his hand. So, and it's not broken. They said that it's not broken. Rumor has it that it's his hand, and what they say is what I've heard on, I forgot what show I was watching. I don't know if it was Joe Rogan, that they could probably reschedule 2 to 3 months.
So then that would put him August.
Yeah, so that's why they say they don't think it's like a break. Whatever happened was like a strain or something. They don't think it's a break, because if they said 2 to 3 months postponement, and they said that Michael Chandler didn't get a call. So if Michael Chandler's been put on hold, that it's a strain and it's probably not something broken.
Gotcha. So that means
Conor McGregor's camp doesn't want to release what it actually is.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and they said that it makes sense because this is like his big time come out. He doesn't want to take the chance of coming in injured.
And then screw it up, and then everyone's gonna be like, oh well, he's not ready. He should retire. Blah blah blah. Yeah. I saw something like UFC 306, which I believe is August 31st. I believe UFC 306 is then. They said that in 2 months from now, which will be August, that would be the timeline. He'll come for 306.
Yeah, they're thinking they're trying to figure out like when they could do it, But I have a feeling there's so much money involved, because Conor just he blows away ticket sales, and they're UFC hasn't, like, the positive from the show I was watching was saying that they didn't reschedule Chandler and tell Chandler to move on. So that means that it's still going to happen, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. I just wish it was during there, because August 31st, I'm back in school.
Oh, all right. You have it. It'll be on the weekend, so you could go.
Yeah, so it's not bad, but it's like I can't really enjoy it. Like go out with my friends to like down the shore or whatever like that. Can't watch it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I was even gonna have a party at my house too because I'm a big McGregor fan, and I was gonna have it over.
I want to see him come back, but I don't know. I'm a big McGregor fan, but it's like I really like Michael Chandler. I like his story.
Yeah, Michael Chandler's a great guy.
He's an underdog, man. I love his story. I like him so much. So it's gonna be like, like I really don't care who wins. I just wanted a good fight. I don't want to.
And I'll be honest with you. You know, one of the things that's really cool, and they don't talk about it, is, you know, it's a big payday for Chandler. Like Chandler is good. The reason there's a reason why Chandler's holding out. It's because it's the biggest payday of his career. I mean,
hell yeah.
Yeah, so that's why, you know, if people say, "Oh, why does everybody want to fight McGregor?" Because when you fight McGregor, you're getting paid.
Yeah, big time. Big time. That's the same thing with John Jones, though, right?
Yeah.
John Jones.
That's why Stipe is holding out. Stipe Miocic, the former heavyweight champ, is holding out because that payday with John Jones is big money. So, I mean, you can't blame them from holding out to fight, you know, for the big dollars, you know.
Yeah, I agree. But all right, so a little synopsis of the UFC. I like that. Change it up. Right. Now let's go into the Cowboys. Oh wait, so you think? Wait, just before we go into, you think Florida wins in 6, or you got them in 7?
This is what I think happens. I think Florida comes out gangbusters Friday night. Like I think Edmonton better be ready because they're going to be like, oh, we're not letting you off this time. That first period, the Panthers they're going to come at it. They're going to put, you know, they're going to shuffle that first line, and they're going to come out like beasts. Like I would be, if I was Edmonton, be ready because they're coming to close it out on Friday. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the Edmonton on Friday. If they get past Friday, then they have a chance, you know, but it's going to be a tough game on Friday. I have a feeling that the Panthers are going to approach the first period like they did the second period yesterday. That's what I think. And they're going to come out like, no. Let's remember how we got here. We press, we're defense, we push, and that's what they're going to do. That's what
so you got Panthers winning in 6.
I think so. Yeah, I think it'll be very hard for them to let it go to Florida, but it could happen. Of course, I could be wrong, but I think Florida is going to come out like gangbusters on Friday night. They're going to be like, all right, we let you go, but you know, remember who we are, because they shut them out game 1. They dominated them. It wasn't even close. They blew them off the ice for 3 games straight. I was like, oh my God, it's going to be the first sweep.
Nope.
No, I was wrong.
But yeah, so I got them in 7, even though like the momentum would swing towards Edmonton. I think they come out like you said, but I don't think I think Conor McDavid is like, if we're gonna lose, we're not losing on our home ice. Yeah. I think they come in. I think Panthers bust them open game first period, but then that second period they come back, and then the third period it's like tied neck and neck, and McDavid or somebody on the Oilers, it might be McDavid because he's the best player, scores very late, and then the Panthers like, oh, we had it. Then they come game 7, and it's just like they kill them. I think it's a blowout, and I think the Panthers win at home. Just like how Boston did it, I think they get kind of like shook the way Boston did in Edmonton, and then they kind of like come back and be like, all right, let's finish this, and then they just blow the doors off the Oilers, just how Boston did against the Mavericks. So the only difference is the Mavs it wasn't 3-2, it was 3-1. So there's a little bit of a difference, but I got the Oilers winning game 6, a close one, and I got the Panthers blow them out in game 7 and winning the Stanley Cup. That's how I got it.
Oh, let's see how it goes, man. As long as the Panthers, I like both outcomes because as long as the Panthers got the Stanley Cup, that'd be great.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. We're on the same page. But let's move on to the Cowboys.
All right.
Let's see if we can make some sense about how awful and shitty our Cowboys.
Well, you know, the Cowboys, it's tough being a Cowboys fan because they always have so much talent, and they're always right there, but they can't close it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
And you know, it's a question of, is Dak the answer? I don't know.
I don't know. We were talking about that at that thing a little bit, but I I don't know. I just don't understand what running it back with the same team that you've ran it back for the last 3 years. And look at where it's got you. Lost in the divisional round, lost in the first round, got demolished against the number 7 seed in the Packers last year, this past year. Like, what is it going to take? Is it going to take us like going 2-16 for us to like, all right, we got to change something? And I don't think it's Dak. I don't really think it's his fault.
Well,
crazy.
It's not totally his fault, but you know, the Cowboys, it's a tough thing. They should have never lost to Green Bay.
No.
I didn't understand that game. And it's really weird. It's like when they get into the playoffs, they're like a different team. They're not as self-confident. They fall apart to teams that they shouldn't fall apart to.
Yeah.
And you know, like I don't know. It's interesting because in a lot of sports like football, especially football, you'll see that the playoffs, some people excel in the playoffs, like the Patriots always used to. And some people crumble. They crumble. Like some people are, I don't know what it is. It's like they get to the playoffs and they just can't pull the trigger. They're not the same. They're apprehensive. And there's a lot of teams over history that have been like that. And Cowboys are like that. The Cowboys are loaded with talent. Some of the best receivers in the league.
They got the best receiver. I got CeeDee Lamb if not the first.
CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers out there. And, and then they have great the cornerbacks. They have a great O-line. Their offensive line is fantastic. They give Dak a lot of time back there. And but they just can't in the playoffs. They're like a different team. They go win and they win 12 games. And then
3 straight years, 12-4. Yeah, and we can't get nothing done.
And then they beat these great teams during the season. And then come playoffs, they lose to teams that they shouldn't lose to. It's really tough. Being a Cowboys fan has been really tough. And, I don't know, there's a big debate about Dak, but there's a lot of passes that Dak should hit,
Oh, and I'm not giving him a pass. I'm just saying that Green Bay game, you could say, oh, yeah, he threw a pick, whatever. One, should have been a pass interference on his first interception because the guy draped all over Brandon Cooks. That's one. That shouldn't have been hit. That was a perfect throw. The throw was just picked off because the guy jumped over our wide receiver. You can't do that. That's one. Two, the defense could not stop a nosebleed. I mean, everyone was open. I said the thing when I was watching it with my friend, and I was saying, Logan, my brother, who is about to be 8th grade next year, could literally catch that pass. That's how open the wide receiver was. There was nobody in 30 yards of him. Yeah. There's no way. That's on Dan Quinn. I'm sorry. There's no way the first play of the game. No, not the first play. Third down and 16.
Yeah. There's a lot of blown coverages. Yeah.
Yeah. There was like 30 yards between the next defender. There's impossible. That was like 3 straight occasions in that game. So I can't blame Dak for so much. He was down that much. Yes, he had mistakes. He had some errored throws. But if he doesn't throw that first pick, which would have been called as a pass interference, something might have changed. If we established the run, if our offensive line gave him time, if Dak sees some different looks, because there was a lot of times, and Green Bay almost let us come back.
Yeah.
It almost did. There was that one play with about 2:20 left in the game. I still remember it. We're down by 16. That's 2 touchdowns, 2 2-point conversions. Yes, it's very hard to do it, but to be honest, 2:20 left with 2 timeouts. Dak, like they put 4 verticals or like a Hail Mary type style thing, and Brandon Cooks is wide. No, CeeDee Lamb is wide open down the sideline. He completely misses the guy, and it would have been a touchdown. They would have had like 2:10, 2:05 left with 2 timeouts. Now you need 1 stop.
Yeah.
And you have a game.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Dak where I have a lot of I don't know. I mean, see the thing is I'm older, so I've seen some of the greats play like Montana and but he was fantastic. I mean, that guy he could hit receivers open. And if you watch something, it's called checking down receivers, and the greats have that ability, and I don't know if Dak has that vision like those guys do. Like one of the things people don't know about a lot of sports and baseball, I saw an interview once with Tony Gwynn, and Tony Gwynn is one of the best hitters of all time. If you look him up, he I think he's passed. I think he died. Tony Gwynn, I think he went a few years when he only struck out like 30 something times. I mean, if you look up Tony Gwynn's stats, it's pretty remarkable. And one of the things he said, I saw an interview with him, and he said a lot of people don't understand that the best hitters and a lot of the best athletes, like quarterbacks, have incredible vision. Their vision. So Tony Gwynn could see the ball. He goes, the ball just looked different to me. He goes, sometimes I could see the laces coming at me. That's why I very rarely struck out. And that is the same thing with Montana, Tom Brady. You know, those guys, like their vision, if you ever were lucky enough to see Montana play, or if you watch Brady play, I'm just naming two of the best, but there's other ones that were great like that, like an old Roger Staubach. A lot of people don't realize, but you know, there's a lot of good quarterbacks that were kind of as good, like Terry Bradshaw. A lot of people don't give Terry Bradshaw credit because he's old now, but he won 4 Super Bowls, and he won 4 Super Bowls because he was a great freaking quarterback in his time. Yeah. And I'm a Cowboy fan, but Terry Bradshaw, you know, beat us twice in the Super Bowl. So, you know, beat the Cowboys twice. And you know, those guys had vision. So what I mean by that, if you watch when the ball gets snapped, right, it's called checking down your receivers. Brady would look up and he could see tight end. He sees his receivers, and they could see the guys clearly and who is open, who is the best probability for a hit. It's almost like when you see the Terminator. Have you ever watched the Terminator movie? And the Terminator calculates like the position of the target. Mm-hmm. That's how those guys' brains are and their vision is. Like Brady, I remember I've seen him play the Dolphins a few times down here, and the ball snaps and he's watching his receivers. Should I go to Edelman? Should I go to and then he will go boom. And he'll hit the open receiver fast. And Montana did the same thing. Montana had Rice. He had a guy named Rathman. He had Roger Craig, the running back. And he would just go boom, boom, boom. He would just so quick. He would just drop the ball off. And the best record. And I see plenty of times where Dak has the pass, the ball snaps, and he stutters a little bit before he goes he checks down, but he can't check down and calculate which guy I got to get it to first. And that is the difference between a good quarterback, extremely good quarterback, and a guy who is like, the pinnacle. Yeah. And that I think is where Dak sometimes, mainly in playoffs, because regular season games, he hits a lot of guys open like that. But in playoffs, he kind of stutters a little bit. I see he can't check down his receivers as much. Yeah. And that's just my opinion,
No, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. He, that, like you said, that pass with Lamb, he should have hit him. And there's some passes that you're like, come on, man, you should have hit that. You're at that level where you should be able to hit that. And I think he gets, it's tough. Football is not easy because you got guys, 250-pound monsters coming at you, ready to take you out, and it's hard. Yeah. Football is not an easy game, and offensive tackles have a very tough job. I had a buddy who's a friend of mine. I met him, and he was an offensive tackle for the Eagles, and he was offensive, and he played for the Eagles and the Redskins, and he was a big guy. He was 6'5", 320 pounds, and his forget his last name. I could change his name, but he played a few years with the Eagles. Anyway, I met this guy, and I asked him a question. I said, what is it like being an OT in the NFL? He goes, it is probably the hardest job there is, because he goes, you have world-class athletes, 220 to 270 pounds, that could run like gazelles, and they're coming at you, and you're facing them with you're facing them, and you're backwards the whole time. He goes, remember, what people don't understand is the defensive guys are coming forward, so their forward power is coming, and we're on our back. He goes, so we're going backwards, so it's against like a physical body to go. He goes, you got these freakish beasts that are so fast and strong. The guys that get bench like 700-800 pounds coming at you, and you're trying to block them from getting to the quarterback that could pretty much take the quarterback out and end his season or even end his career, like in the case of Joe Theismann and then
Tony Romo.
Yeah, Tony Romo or Joe Theismann against Lawrence Taylor. If you ever see that tackle, his offensive tackle missed the block, and Lawrence Taylor got in and broke Theismann's leg, and then Theismann never played again. I saw that game. It was really sad, and it's because those offensive tackles have such a hard job. Well, anyway, I just bought that.
You have that guy's contact?
Huh?
Did you get his number or something?
No, I don't have his number, but his name was Corey, and I don't remember his last name, but he played for the Eagles and for the Redskins. And the guy
what year?
I think it was in the mid 2000s. Yeah, he's retired now, and he lives down here in Lake Worth. Great guy, but he played in the NFL, and he was telling me how hard it is. He's like, you're going up against these guys that are just beast. He goes, that's why offensive tackles have to be beast. He goes, because we're trying to stop beast.
Wait, I got it. Corey Lichtenstein.
Yeah, that might be him. That guy is six. Let me tell you something. That guy, I had jiu-jitsu with that. I took jiu-jitsu with him. That guy is 6'4", 6'5", and he could do cartwheels and front flips.
Holy Jesus! All right.
Those guys are athletic freaks, and he's a hell of a guy, hell of a nice guy.
Wait,
but they are.
So he was Washington Redskins training camp center/guard, or was he offensive lineman?
He might have been center/guard, maybe. Yeah.
He said it says I don't know. This is Wikipedia. I don't know if
maybe that's not him then. This guy's about 6'4", 6'5".
Okay. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, you can keep going.
No, but I'm just saying, like, he explained to me, like, how hard it is to play in the NFL. It's like these guys are just great athletes, super strong, super fast, and it's very hard to succeed in the NFL. But I think the quarterbacks is of course, it's the hardest position. That's why they get paid the most. And, I think Dak, if we get back to the Cowboys, he's great. Don't tell me he's not great. He's awesome. But I think in the playoffs, he kind of it's hard for him. I think he struggles a lot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that because he don't show up in the big games. Even the big monster game against San Francisco the last couple of years, he doesn't show up in that game. He shows up in the other games, but he's definitely going to be tested this year. I mean, have you looked at our schedule?
No,
I'm gonna tell you it is. Oh shit! It is gonna be tough. It's a chance that we might go like 5-12. Like that's how bad the schedule is. So our schedule, I'm not gonna do the preseason. Our first game is at the Browns on September 8th. That's gonna be a tough game.
The Browns are very good.
Yeah, they're not a bad team.
No.
Then we're home against the Saints. Which is also they're not a good team, but they're a scary team. They could put up points when they can, if they can. But then right after that, man, we got to go. We stay home against the Ravens.
Yeah,
that's a tough one. And then we play the Giants at the Giants on September 26th. And then we're at the Steelers, which is still a tough one. Play each other very tough. Then we're home against the Lions, one of the best teams in the NFC last year. And then we're away against the 49ers again on October 27th at 8.
Yeah.
Cowboys at the Falcons. They got Kirk Cousins now. Can't be a guaranteed win because that team's much better with Kirk Cousins there.
Yeah.
And then we play home against the Eagles. Then we play home against the Texans, which is C.J. Stroud. That's not an easy game anymore.
I know.
And then we're at the Commanders, home against the Giants. Then we're home against the Bengals.
Yeah.
We're away against the Panthers. We're home against the Bucks, another NFC good team last year. We're away against the Eagles and then home against the Commanders. We got a tough schedule.
Yeah.
That's a hard-ass schedule.
I know. It's going to be tough next year. And, we'll see. I mean, Cowboys are good too, so, we'll be all right. I just, you got, San Fran is, I think, a team we got to watch out for.
Yeah.
That
NFC wise, it's going to be tough. AFC wise, the only team I'm afraid of in the AFC that we're playing in our schedule is really, it's the only two teams, which is the Ravens or the Bengals. But I would probably be more scared of the Ravens just because of look at their team. Derrick Henry now with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, and then and then Kansas City is always going to be tough. It's as long as they have those core players there, which I think they're all coming back. It's going to be tough to beat them.
Yeah, we'll see. Patrick Mahomes.
He's a great quarterback, and his thing. Can he check down receivers as good as Brady? No, but his athleticism makes up for it.
Yeah,
he could do things that Brady can't do.
Yep, definitely.
He could run the ball. He could pitch the ball. He throws the ball at weird angles and
with both his hands too.
He's ambidextrous. He's just a great football player. He's big as hell. He looks like a freaking linebacker who could throw the ball.
Yeah, he's not fit. He's not ripped. He's like
a big guy. That's the thing. Is another thing too. Is like you see the quarterback has become like they almost look like linebackers who could pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Like C.J. Stroud and all those guys. They're not small guys. They're strong, big guys.
They're huge. They're big dudes.
It's the days of like like I question if Montana would have done good in this era because everybody's so much bigger.
Yeah, that's a thing, but you can't. Like you said,
you never know. You never know. Yeah, you never know.
It's hard to compare errors.
Yeah, it's hard to compare errors, but I tell you what, the athletes keep getting bigger, faster, and stronger. Like they just
that's for every sport.
It's incredible. I mean, the guys who everybody just keeps getting bigger, faster, stronger. The NFL is to the point where you see some of those collisions, and you're like, man, how much longer could they do that? Because everybody keeps hitting each other so much harder every year and faster. It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. But yeah, that's pretty much it, Eric. I appreciate the time here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Great.
Anytime. Let me know. We'll get if you want to talk.
I might have to have you on probably on Recap Monday next week because to talk about what happened with the Panthers.
Oh God, yeah. Well, I'll be back. I'm going out of town tomorrow, but I'll be back. I'll be back Tuesday, so maybe we can do it Tuesday if you can.
If not, we do it Wednesday because I have my shows Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So
all right, cool. We could do it Wednesday. That sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good. But yeah, I appreciate your time, Eric.
All right.
I'm gonna close out the podcast and then I'll talk to you after it just for a second.
All right, that sounds good.
So all right, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm your host Zach Jackson here on the Far Sports Pod, where everything we do here is far. You guys know the drill. This is my cousin Eric. He has jumped on the podcast and helped me out on this Wednesday afternoon, so I appreciate that. The chat really liked you on TikTok Live. They liked what you were saying, so I appreciate that, Eric.
Cool, of course.
And I will we'll reconvene on the podcast maybe next week to talk some more NHL. All right? All right, guys. That's pretty much it here on TikTok Live. I'll end you guys right after I finish with our YouTube show. But again, guys, this is Season 3, Episode 35. This is our final episode of Season 3. Coming Friday will be Season 4, Episode 1. So check that out. I'll catch you guys there. Peace out.